What is going on, folks? It is Rigor Mortis. We are back with yet another video. As you can tell by the title of this video, today's topic is going to be all things SPACs. Now, you guys know that the origins of this YouTube channel, yes, they are in gaming, but second, the very first stocks that I was talking about back whenever I was first starting out this YouTube channel were in fact SPACs. And the very first SPAC that I talked about, if I remember correctly, was THCB. And of course, today what we're going to get into is, are SPACs dead? What are my favorite SPACs, and why have these things been moving the way that they have been moving, and what I'm going to do personally when it comes to my portfolio. So please, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, join the growing family of investors, throw a like on this video, let's get it out to more people, and a comment down below about any SPAC that you are looking into. I want to hear all things SPACs in the comment section below. So let's get right into it. So first and foremost, why have these SPACs been moving in the way they've been moving? This is one of my favorite SPACs here. This is one that I'm going to talk about. The ticker symbol is GIK, Gig Capital 3. They are merging with Lightning E-Motors and an EV or electrification solutions and energy storage solutions company for electricity. So this thing was sitting at $16 at one point. Of course, as all SPACs do, they started at around 10, shot up all the way to $17 or so, and I think it even went higher than that. Google's kind of weird. And since then, we are essentially right back where we started at right around $10. This is the same story for a lot of our SPACs. CCIV is, of course, a little bit of a it's a peculiar one because it is an interesting company. Hasn't fallen down to $10, but from its high of 60 divided by 3. APXT, same song, different dance here. This one hit around $17, and now we're back down to around $11.50. THCB, our baby, same song here as well. This thing went all the way up to around $25, and you can see it did shoot up like crazy pretty much overnight here in 5 days or so, and then now we are down 50% all the way down to $12. So why are our SPAC picks doing this? This is, of course, my opinion, folks. I could be very wrong, but this is just my thoughts and opinions about not only our SPAC picks, but my whole portfolio in general. The stock market in general is actually doing fairly well these past couple of weeks, but my portfolio has been hit particularly hard. So what's going on? These are my thoughts, of course, not financial advice. What I think is going on is that investors, what they're doing is they're taking their money out of growth stocks and they're putting their money into what we call value stocks. Now, what does that mean? Growth stocks are essentially stocks that are a little bit more risky. They have a way higher upside, but that being said, they are extremely volatile. They bounce up and down. Like I said, they're a little bit more risky, so you can potentially lose a lot more of your money that you're putting in at first, uphand, but your potential to make a substantial amount of money is higher. Value stocks, on the other hand, these don't bounce around as much. They could be even dividend stocks, things that generally have a very well studied, well expected, I guess, trajectory. Okay, so what that means is that we know almost exactly to a T what these stocks are going to do, whether that be a 3, 4, 5, 6, or even 7% growth rate over the year. What you see is what you get. These things have been studied so diligently that we know exactly how they're going to grow. Now, for me personally, of course, I tell you guys that diversification is key to any stock portfolio. Most people like to put their money in a little bit of both. We have a little bit of growth stocks, more high risk, aggressive nature, and some value stocks that we know we're going to get at least, anywhere between 3 to 7% return on some of them, and maybe even a dividend on top of that. So what I think is going on is that after the boom in 2020 and as well as early 2021, what's going on is that we're taking a little bit of money from those growth stocks that people have made a lot of money on, and they're throwing them into value stocks, and that's why our growth stocks are at an all-time low. Now, for me personally, some growth stocks that have a crazy high potential, in my opinion, are always going to be SPACs, because SPACs always start out at $10. Their upside is pretty much, I shouldn't say unlimited, but they have a lot of upside, but the risk is always there because after the company merges, the stock could fall down below $10. So you have to weigh out your risk reward there a little bit. But we know that these are small companies usually. They don't go for the IPO, they go for the SPAC reverse merger, and generally speaking, they are a little bit more high risk. So that's my thoughts and opinions about what's going on right now. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of SPACs 4 of them to be exact, that I've still been taking a very close look at because I do think they have potential. I think after we're out of this funk a little bit in the growth stock market, these stocks could potentially do well. But of course, it's going to be up to the market and the sentiment as to how these stocks move. GIK, Get Capital 3, like I said, merging with Lightning eMotors. We've talked about this company countless times on this channel. These guys, I think, will do well in the future. But like I said, right now, in particular, in terms of growth stocks, a very, small sector, not small sector, but a sector of the growth stocks is the tech industry, EV to be exact, not doing so hot right now. GIK is not only a SPAC, it's an EV company as well. So it's getting hit double as hard. I think that's why it's sitting at SPAC value right now at $10. But I do believe in this company. I have been buying the dips. Sitting here at $10, this is pretty much as low as SPACs can get. That being said, we have seen SPACs in the EV space, take XL Fleet for example, fall below $10. So be very careful when it comes to GIK, folks, because this thing could potentially post-merger fall below $10 just depending on how market sentiment is going and what's going on at the time when it comes to the EV stock market and growth stocks in general. Keep this one in mind. I'm still looking at it. CCIV, we just made a video on this. I think that was my last video actually. This company I'm still in love with. Every single time I hear something about CCIV, I get even more interested. Obviously, they're merging with Lucid Motors. I know you guys have already heard. Another EV company. So a SPAC EV company getting hit just as hard as some of our other stocks. But I still believe in this company. I think they're going to do well. When I talk about CCIV, I always give the anecdote. It's, do you want to look back in 15 years and say, hey, I didn't invest in this company? Whenever we look back at Tesla now, if we would have went back 5 years, would we have invested in Tesla? That's kind of the thoughts that I have in terms of CCIV. So for me personally, it's worth the risk because I don't want to be in the future looking back and saying, man, I should have really invested in that company. Those are my thoughts and opinions about CCIV. Please do your own research when it comes to this company in particular because it has been extremely volatile lately, and even on the day to day, we are down quite a bit. APXT, a Microsoft company that specializes in SaaS. We've talked a lot about this company as well. This was projected to be a $30 stock just a few months ago, and obviously it hasn't been doing so hot recently. So, again, with this point, with this one, the ticker symbol APXT, they're merging with AvePoint. So, again, this is one of those that we just have to take a close look at. Obviously, tech is not doing so hot right now, but I do believe that this stock has the potential to make a comeback. Again, I could be very wrong, but it's one of my favorites. Figured I'd mention it. I do believe it has a lot of upside. Last but not most certainly not least, my favorite SPAC of all time, and still my favorite SPAC, sitting here at $12.35. THCB, Tuscan Holdings. Holy crap, guys! Like this thing has just absolutely tanked, and it's insane because I had projections saying that this company could be a $50 to $75 company back whenever we had that huge EV spike in other battery companies like RMG and QuantumScape, because I thought that THCB, people that already had a battery set and ready to go, their batteries already in use, I thought this thing was going to get a lot of hype, but their merger was just it was at the perfectly wrong time, I want to say, because look at this thing. As soon as it spiked up, we had that funk of, mid-February to early March and even now extending into mid-March, and we just got hit so hard, and now it's sitting at almost sitting at SPAC levels with the merger soon approaching. So these are all 4 SPACs that I really, really, really like. They're all pretty much sitting at levels that I actually entered in them. So, it makes me interested as to whether or not I want to buy more of these. Is it just something that I keep a close eye on? To be quite honest with you guys, probably going to do the latter. Just keep a close eye on these guys, see what happens. I'm happy with my positions in all of them so far, but I'm just waiting for them to pick back up and for us to garner more hype when it comes to SPACs. So in my opinion, right now SPACs, yes, we're in a funk, but I'm hoping that they're not completely dead just yet. But we'll see. Only time will tell on how the sentiment in the market picks back up. So please, guys, as always, if you're new around here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, join the family. Please throw a like on this video so we can get it out to more people. Comment down below about any SPAC that you're looking into. And as always, please, if you want to make a Webull account, I have a link in the description below. I'm officially an affiliate. If you deposit $100, you get some free stocks. Helps me out, helps you out. I scratch your back. you guys are always scratching my back. Appreciate you guys watching to the end. It's Rigor Mortis. Peace out.